Hey guys, I'm Christine, and today we're going to start on Chapter 3 of Florence Scovel Shinn's The Game of Life and How to Play It. This is The Power of the Word, and this is page 16. And as you can see, I highlighted in 3 colors. Green is instructions, orange is the problem, and pink is the promise. So I will post pictures of the pages, but I'm just going to read right now and share my analysis of it. So here's an instruction. This is a green highlight. A person knowing the power of the word becomes very careful of his conversation. That's an instruction. He has only to watch the reaction of his words to know that they do not return void. So I'll just repeat that. A person knowing the power of the word becomes very careful of his conversation. Through his spoken word, man is continually making laws for himself. Here's a problem. I knew a man who said, I always miss a car. I think she means a train, like a train car. I always miss the train. It invariably pulls out just as I arrive. But his daughter says, I always catch the train. It's sure to come just as I get there. This occurred for years. Each one of them made a separate law for themselves. The man made a law of failure, and the daughter made a law of success. This is the psychology of superstition. The horseshoe or the rabbit's foot contain no power in themselves, but man's spoken word and belief that it will bring him good luck creates expectancy in the subconscious mind. And that attracts a lucky situation. So it's you believing it. It's you seeing it will happen. And that brings it to you. And that's a promise. I highlighted that in pink. It attracts a lucky situation. This next part is highlighted in orange. I find, however, this will not work when man has advanced spiritually and knows a higher law. One cannot turn back and must put away graven images. For example, 2 men in my class had great success in business for several months when suddenly everything went to smash. We tried to analyze the situation, and I found that instead of making their affirmations and looking to God for success and prosperity, they had each bought a lucky monkey. I said, oh, I see. You've been trusting in the lucky monkeys instead of in God. Put away the lucky monkeys and call on the law of forgiveness. For man has the power to forgive or neutralize his mistakes. They decided to throw the lucky monkeys down a coal hole. I love this, all these references to, old-fashioned, olden days. They threw their lucky monkeys down a coal hole and all went well again. This does not mean, however, that one should throw away every lucky ornament or horseshoe about the house. But he must recognize that the power in back of it is the one and only power, God, and that the object simply gives him a feeling of expectancy. Okay, so let's break that down. Okay, so these guys were having luck in business, and then they were like, oh, hey, let's use some of the money we earned and let's buy a horseshoe. A lucky monkey. I've never heard of that, but let's buy a lucky rabbit's foot and let's pray to that. That doesn't really make sense to me. But anyway, so they were using that. They were like, oh yeah, the lucky rabbit's foot is gonna bring us success. So, but then that didn't work because I don't know. Because there's no power in that. I can't even connect it. I can't even make it as an example because it's hard to imagine actually praying to a horseshoe, you have to, I'm fumbling with my words. She says it best here. Basically, it's good to have lucky ornaments around. That's fine. They support you. It's like lighting a candle at church. It's like having, pictures of saints around, or, whatever. They support you, but they don't do anything in themselves. It's the prayer. It's the connection to your higher power. She writes here, this is the promise. Object simply gives you a feeling of expectancy. It's like it's the support. But you have to recognize that the power is God. Let's see. So she goes on, I was with a friend one day who was in deep despair. In crossing the street, she picked up a horseshoe. So this was in the days when like horse and carriages were, in the road. So she was crossing the street and she picked up a horseshoe. Immediately, she was filled with joy and hope. She said God sent her the horseshoe in order to keep up her courage. It was indeed at that moment about the only thing that could have registered in her consciousness. It's like finding a lucky penny. Her hope became faith, and she ultimately made a wonderful demonstration. I wish to make the point clear. This is a problem. I have it highlighted in orange. I wish to make the point clear that the men previously mentioned were depending on the monkeys alone. Well, this woman recognized that the power in back of the horseshoe was brought to her by God. I know in my own case, it took a long while to get out of the belief that a certain thing brought disappointment. If the thing happened, disappointment invariably followed. I found the only way I could make a change in the subconscious was by asserting the following phrase: there are not two powers. There is only one power, God. Therefore, there are no disappointments. And this means a happy surprise. I feel like we all know that feeling, right? Like, I don't know. I can't think of an example right now. Like, I guess what comes to mind maybe is like, maybe if it's cold, we think it's going to snow or something. If it's cold and gray, we think, oh man, I'm going to have to shovel the driveway. At least up here in Michigan, that's what we might think. But that's not necessarily true. And even if it is true, it's not necessarily a problem. Even if it does snow, there might be kids who come to the door and want to shovel. A neighbor might bring their snowblower over and just do it, I mean, who knows? Who knows what could happen? The snow might melt. Or you might enjoy doing it. Whatever. So she says, I know in my own case, it took a long while to get out of the belief that a certain thing brought disappointment. Like if it snowed, then I'd be like, oh, I have to shovel the driveway. If the thing happened, disappointment invariably followed. I found the only way I could make a change in the subconscious was by asserting, there are not two powers. There's only one power, God. Therefore, there are no disappointments. And this means a happy surprise. Here's a promise. I noticed a change at once, and happy surprises commenced coming my way. Here's another superstition. I have a friend who said nothing could induce her to walk under a ladder. That's tricky. I don't like to walk under ladders. I said, if you're afraid, you are giving into a belief in two powers, good and evil instead of one. As God is absolute, there can be no opposing power, unless man makes the false of evil for himself. That's a tough one. To show you believe in only one power, God, and that there is no power or reality in evil, walk under the next ladder you see. Soon after, she went to her bank. She wished to open her box in the safety deposit vault, and there stood a ladder on her pathway. It was impossible to reach the box without passing under the ladder. She quailed with fear and turned back. She could not face the lion on her pathway. However, when she reached the street, my words rang in her ears, and she decided to return and walk under it. It was a big moment in her life, for ladders held her in bondage for years. She retraced her steps to the vault, and the ladder was no longer there. Wow. This so often happens. If one is willing to do a thing he is afraid to do, he does not have to do it. Has that happened to you? I feel like that has happened to me recently. Oh my God, there's a fly. It is the law of non-resistance. which is so little understood. So that's another instruction. The law of non-resistance. Just don't fight it. Don't be like, oh my god, I would never walk under a ladder. Just don't judge. Don't have any blocks. Don't just be like, okay, ladder. It's not good, it's not bad. You know, you can prefer not to walk under it, but you don't think of it as bad. Just take a breath. Maybe do like she did, like leave and come back later and it'll be gone. Alright, I'm gonna leave it there. We've stopped on page 18. The next part gets really good. I'll just read this next sentence. Someone said that courage contains genius and magic. Face a situation fearlessly, and there is no situation to face. It falls away of its own weight. I'm just gonna repeat that one more time. Someone said that courage contains genius and magic. Face a situation fearlessly, and there is no situation to face. It falls away of its own weight. 100%. Thanks for watching.